made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Transact Card, Align Life, Neuro Infinity, Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 511 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Robert Silverman. And if you want to hear the story about how longevity is chiropractic, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today we have Robert Silverman coming on with us. I'm really excited for this. Every time I see this guy, I feel inspired to do better, and I feel inspired to become a better advocate for chiropractic. And I always feel like I've always looked up to Robert in a way. So it's an honor to have him on the show today and to be episode 511. I know we're going to have a great conversation today about chiropractic and about longevity. How the health of our culture can improve. And I think immunity is one of those things that we're going to talk about. I know he just finished another book, and we're going to talk about that a little bit today too. But before we get into Robert Silverman's episode, I'm just going to let you know the big why. Why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? Well, he's in a big media market, New York, and freedom of speech is pretty important. And that's what we do here for chiropractic is we hold down the standard for freedom of speech. I've never censored anyone. Even if I didn't like what they had to say, it always airs. And I think that that's an important thing about doing about 1,200 interviews in the past 5.5 years, that I give people a platform to be acknowledged, heard, and seen, and to share their truth about chiropractic. We also believe that each individual should have medical freedom and family health freedom for their whole family. And I think that that's an important part of why chiropractic has been so amazing for the past 127 years, because they offer that. It's a unique skill set that offers freedom of health to people. And, chiropractic is a standalone profession, and I really appreciate that too. We also protect BJ Palmer's Sacred Trust. I'll just leave that as a theme for people. It's BJ Palmer's last words. If you want to learn more about chiropractic, go to your favorite search engine and look for BJ Palmer's last words, the Sacred Trust. You're going to know so much more about chiropractic than you previously did. And if you're a chiropractor, you've been practicing a long time, go brush up on it. It's going to be good for you. We also support subluxation-based chiropractic. We believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. With that being said, Dr. Robert Silverman, welcome.
I got goosebumps. Wow. I feel good. I'm motivated. I'm doing great. How about yourself, Jim?
I love what we do over here because it is a fundamental thing. It is something that's important, creating a message, consistent message. And chiropractic is truth. And it is truth in the confusion that's out there. And people, they've lambasted chiropractic for decades. And if they knew what we know, then they would do what we do. And they just didn't know that they could have a chiropractic lifestyle. They didn't know that chiropractic was safe, affordable, effective. They didn't know all these things. And now today, I think the turn of events after the past 3 years, people are like, oh, I'm looking for that. I just didn't know it was called chiropractic.
A little backstory for everybody watching. We were talking about growth, and I made a comment to you that I shared that basically said that too many chiropractors say my work speaks for itself, but with this opportunity, you can speak for your work without question. It's our chiropractic mantra now, or at least it should be, that we need to explain what we do. We need to explain the numbers. We need to let people know that we're the largest health advocate for them out there. And what we do makes indelible marks on their health life every day.
Yeah, I'll just follow up with that. And I've never met anybody that lived the chiropractic lifestyle that had a worse quality of life. I've always met people that practice a chiropractic lifestyle have more clarity in the way that they look at the world, the way that they treat those around them, the way they take care of themselves. It just perpetuates better care. And I also tell people this a lot. I never met anybody that took more pharmaceuticals or more drugs that had a better quality of life. Not more vitality, not more longevity. Um, it's kind of a broken model. It's conveyor belt medicine. It's like, oh, one for you, one for you, one for you, one for you. And that's the thing I love about chiropractic is it checks the spine, it checks the nervous system, it checks the balance, it checks the proprioception, it checks the posture, it checks the vitals. Like it's a full body thing. And if more people knew about it, they would say, wow, this is a nerve related profession. This is a brain related profession. This is a longevity related profession. And I think that those are like things that people are looking for right now. They're looking for better quality of life, better health for them and their family, and better longevity for themselves.
Yeah, without question. I want to piggyback on an earlier statement that you made about the medical model, which we're not negative to. Everybody's got their place, but we are 4.24% of the world's population here in America. We use 52% of the world's drugs and 80% of the world's pain drugs. So every patient initially that comes in that has never seen a chiropractor before talks about health insurance, hence the word insurance. You have something that's going to protect you from going broke. It's not health care. And what I believe what chiropractors offer is health care. And I think, unfortunately, too many other of our aligned colleagues deal with the idea of sick care. In that, you brought it up, longevity is a hot topic without question. So longevity to me is the balancing and the extension of lifespan and health span. So true longevity is turning on switches on the body to be health promoting. I believe the master switch is keeping a robust immune system. Nobody's better suited to turn on the switches of health than a chiropractor.
I and that's the thing is it goes back to old school philosophy. The body needs nothing extra in it. It simply needs no interference. So if the chiropractor checks, detects, and corrects vertebral subluxation, and the body is able to have transference of information from the brain to the body to the gut and out to all the peripheral nerves and all of the systems, organs, tissues, and cells, then the body's going to have a better chance of having a long-term effect and not being in infirmary and sickness and disability and limited. Like, I think that there's a lot that goes into why chiropractic has been so fantastic for ages at helping people. Now I think that people are starting to wake up though, and they're like, wow, they listened to me. They gave me a proper exam. They gave me recommendations, and it wasn't a pill. I think that people are ready for that type of responsible conversation between a patient doctor relationship.
I agree. And, I think the questions that people ask the most practicing is, who do I trust? I mean, that's number one. Who do I trust? Where do I go for that type of care? And if anything has come out in the last 3+ years, people really showed nutritional supplementation went up 30%. Visits to alternative doctors increased. People were looking for something. And the one thing that never changed, which was an immutable truth, is the best way to keep yourself healthy is to improve your lifestyle, diet, environment, supplements, exercise. We talked about grip strength, chiropractic care, modify your stress. Without question, you have to pick a practitioner that hits that checklist and is in line with your beliefs. And again, we should be seeing more than 15% of the population. And when we convey that message, you will see your practices boom.
So I have to ask this because you brought it up. Why have no big box doctors that talk on TV come out and just told people, if you just exercise more, drink more water, ate a balanced diet, and took supplements, like, this is the answer? Like, we know that. But why has no one in like the mainstream like populace of doctoring gone out and said, hey, this would be a good suggestion for you?
It's a fascinating question. And, I call them the TV docs, and I thought they did a great job. I thought they were neat. They were clean. They were on time. They explained things really well. They just didn't give a full answer, i.e. lifestyle. It's incumbent on us. I mean, we are one of the most unhealthiest populations in the world today. 75% of Americans are overweight or obese. Wow. Since the day I was born, obesity has increased 3 times and morbid obesity has increased 10 times. And that can be attributed to a lot of specific things, but the increased consumption of sugar, 63% of the calories we consume is ultra processed food, gluten, and I know where you guys are from, so don't kill me, the change in the dairy, things of that nature. So why? Because I think that those docs, unfortunately, lifestyle is not in their armamentarium. They know it though, because if you looked at them, all of them look like men and women both adhere to a healthy lifestyle. The adage of the medical doctor being quite corpulent and having a coffee stain on his shirt and smoking a cigarette in front of you, that's gone. They all look like Brad Pitt clones. And the ladies all look like, Michelle Yeoh. They do. They look great. The bottom line is that is not their talking points. And that's an opportunity for us to captivate the populace and get them healthy. I'm a big believer in contrast leads to persuasion. We can persuade people by giving them the facts and giving them the outcomes that they're desperately seeking. The numbers show that.
Well, I think it goes back to salesmanship, is give them what they want, sell them what they need. Like, everybody wants to be listened to. And that's where they've missed the mark, I think, in big box like healthcare, is they just want to tell us, they want to have like a one-sided like approach. Like, come here, we do things a certain way, and if it doesn't fit into this box, and you don't get it. Where a chiropractor's like, let's check out your gait. Let's check out your x-ray. Let me explain to you what happens at level 2 degeneration. Like, that's like the best thing in the world for a chiropractor, to be able to like touch and tell, and to like have table talk, and to be able to explain things to people that they want to know more about. So you're right. I'm sure like the user friendliness of chiropractic has gone up, because people do want to have a relationship with their care providers, and they do want somebody to give them a different solution than take this pill or take this shot, and this is going to give you better health. And I think that for longevity, people want to know, like, what do I do? So you're right, man. Like, people are coming in with tougher cases. Like, they're all heavier. They're all more toxic. They're all more injured. And like thoughts, traumas, toxins, the 3 T's, the things that chiropractic helps with. People's thoughts are probably a lot more challenged and troubled over the past couple of years than what they previously were. Like you're mentioning obesity rates, morbid obesity rates, like those are real like national health concerns. Like right now, my brother always used to tell me this: if we ever got invaded, we couldn't fight them because we're all out of shape. And I think that that's a problem. And I think back when I was a kid, we had to have presidential physical fitness awards. Like we had to be able to like do the monkey bars and the shuttle run and pull ups and all these things that prove that we were like physically fit. Like, I think that we need to go back to that, like how can we make our group of people that we're a part of, like you said, we're over medicated, we're over sugared, and we're just a more it's a more challenging patient that comes into a chiropractic office. It's not just a misalignment and a subluxation that a chiropractor is addressing anymore. It's a deeper well that we're digging down into with people. And a lot of people have shame and guilt too when they get heavy and they have bad thoughts. They don't want to dump that on somebody. It's personal to them. And I think that that's a cool thing about chiropractic is they build that relationship, whether it's twice a week or 3 times a week. Like, it's the unavoidable within the healthcare paradigm, is like the consistency and the routine of care that chiropractors, give to people is like, all right, well, I'm going to see you next 3 times a week for the next like 3 months. Like, that's a good introduction for people to actually have a relationship with the healthcare provider. So I think it's really cool.
I agree. I mean, my new patient today hits all the tenets that you just talked about. He was heavy set. He was, 6 feet tall, 260, had 50 pounds of adipose, needed to go. Back injury, came in for a back injury, couple of herniated discs, couple of protruding discs, 35 years old. And we sat and we talked. And I said, look, I can put the Band-Aid on a bullet wound and fix your lower back. But if I don't fix you, your back is part of you. And he had a bit of an epiphany in front of me. And he says, it's a struggle of mine. I even go to therapy for the yo-yo. And, you hit a chord by talking about the obvious. Now, my intern said, did you call him fat? I said, no. I said to him, he needs to lose a little weight and improve his body composition. And they're like, we're allowed to talk about that? And I'm like, absolutely. And what happened was that he understood that I was concerned and aware of some of his issues. And my background was to combine these two facets, nutrition and chiropractic. He became very honest. He happened to buy a package. He's ready to embark on a lifestyle change. And that's where we are. And that's where we as a field can really help. I mean, I went to the gastroenterologist and he told me, and I think the guy's a wonderful guy. And he's like, look, your stomach's a little bit of an issue. So if you eat some toast and bananas, it'll bind you and help you out. Now, gluten is in obviously bread. It sticks to your intestinal tract, increases intestinal permeability, which was my concern. Bananas so high in sugar and fructose. Fructose is a fat switch, turns it on. It's number one reason for fatty liver, number one reason for a raise in uric acid, all things which are systemic inflammatory markers. I wasn't doing it, but if that's the type of suggestions, lifestyle suggestions, our longevity is without question going to decrease, especially in the lifespan. And that's evident over the last few years because we are now, I think the average American lives 3.2 years less than people who did 5 years ago. So it's not us jumping on anybody else. It's just the fact that we as a field need to take a step forward. And as I said before, start messaging what we do and how we can help the populace.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Transact Card, Align Life, Neuro Infinity, Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. Let's hustle. Well, that's exactly it. I had another guy on the show today that used to have a radio show in Milwaukee. And I think that when people think about life, in general, the more that you can be courageous about what you do and you can honestly share that to people, that gets an emotional buy-in from people. And I think that that's a really honest thing for people to do, is to say, I do this for this reason, and this is why we do it. Like my opener, it charged you up because
Absolutely.
because it's a truth thing. And I think that people are just so curious to find somebody that will actually tell them the truth and not switch on them midway. And I think that people they're desperate for somebody to actually deliver a truthful message to them. And I think, to piggyback off something you said was, sugar, the inflammatory thing. If we want to really go down the path, every major holiday in America, from birthday to Christmas to Easter to Halloween, every single one of them focuses around the sugar product, the sugar industry. And that's a problem. And that's just it. Is we've offered this system for people, but what they don't realize is they're eating themselves sick and they're feeding their children sick. And it's an issue. So honestly, I love the way that a lot of the chiropractic profession goes. They start to say, well, I have a sicker group of people. How can I help them? And they're like, well, maybe if I put them on an anti-inflammatory diet, might help them. Maybe if I tell them they drink half their body weight in ounces every day, it might help them. Maybe if I tell them they need to come see me for subluxation-based chiropractic 3 times a week for the next 90 days, it might help them. And I think that when we think about, something that you're passionate about is laser therapy. Like the issues are in the tissues, man.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Like if somebody has like a screaming L5, it doesn't matter how many times you adjust them, how much decompression you give them. If there's inflammation and a protrusion, like you said, on a vertebrae and on a disc, like I would like to see something that speeds up healing faster. And that's just it. Is like it is. You have to meet the person where they are if you want to help them, save them from drugs and surgery.
I agree, and I think laser fits real well into any chiropractor's armamentarium, if you will. So I'm a big proponent of laser, all the different wavelengths, whether it's a 635 red light to a 532 green light to a 405 violet light, because essentially it's photochemical energy going into the body or electromagnetic transfer of energy to stimulate healing at a cell level. So it's fixing the body from inside out. It's photosynthesis of the body, if you will. It's a great choice. And I see a lot of chiros, philosophically oriented chiros, adding it into their practice because it is done by hand by pressing a button, but it's taking the sun's light or the sun's wavelengths and putting it into the body in a concentrated manner. Fabulous choice. I mean, the change in the upgrades and opportunities. I mean, you just told me that you do barometric chamber. I told you I just got a sauna. The things that we have available to us now to add to our health and wellness, to our longevity, is just adding. There's a plethora of things to choose from. And I think laser is just one of them. But for me, laser is the key 21st century modality. And it has, without question, revolutionized my practice to date.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to go back a little bit on what you said. And when it comes to somebody coming in with a deeper injury, or they need their body to like speed up healing. Like I was just telling you, like I hang from a bar, my neck, and I don't get headaches, man. And I was starting to like hang from this bar, and I would get like this tension headache that would start my occiput, and it would like travel down to like, the base of my neck, or the thoracic and cervical juncture. And I'm like, why is this so intense and so painful? Anyways, I did this seminar with Mark Santa, Breakthrough Coaching, and he had a vendor there with this class 4 laser. And I'm like, hey man, can you do that to my neck? Because I'm hanging from this bar and it's painful. Anyways, I'm at the hotel, and he's like, go try that tomorrow. So I go down to the workout and I hang from this bar. I'm like, what? Like no more headache, no more tension at the back of my neck. And I could hang there for a minute, just like I did every other time. But I think that people don't realize is that like the body has a lot more stored up, that it just needs a different level of care.
Oh, I agree. And laser speaks to mitochondrial dysfunction. And if you notice, the number one complaint, certainly post-COVID right now, is fatigue. And I think it's the number one complaint that people have in general over the last several years, and that's due to mitochondrial dysfunction. Mitochondrial dysfunction, or mitochondria that's dysfunctional, will live longer and last longer than mitochondria that is functional. So our key goal is to have a mitochondrial turnover, or like we like to refer to as mitophagy. Laser imbues the mitochondria with a bunch of photons to allow for energy to elevate. Intermittent fasting, a great lifestyle hack, also allows for mitophagy as well as autophagy. So the science has really led chiropractic into the next frontier as far as I'm concerned. These are things that I talk about with my patients every day. So if you're new chiropractors, you've got, again, this cornucopia of things to pick from. But I think the most important thing, and I know we had talked about it before, is your why. Why did we pick this profession? I don't know, with all respect to a brain surgeon, if they had brain surgery, that's the reason they became a brain surgeon. But chiropractors have a very unique effect because they've been touched by somebody else. That's my story. I had congenital torticollis. There was no medical model answer that was appropriate for me. Went to a chiropractor, Chiropractor worked on me. I got up and I said, "Ooh, I'm a 5th-year senior. I'm going to have an accounting degree and I'm going to go to law school. This is not what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I want to be a chiropractor." Went home to my Jewish mom and I told her, "Oh my God, I wanted a lawyer, a chiropractor. You guys even take blood pressure." "Mom, this guy changed my life. I got hit by, I'm not the Star Spangled Banner, all that. I just knew this was the coolest thing in the world. And I wanted to help people the way he helped me. And so I go to work every day, and it doesn't matter if it's 6 hours or 16 hours. It's not work. It's a mission. It's a credo, if you will, to want to help others. And I believe that all young chiros really need to express their why. People ask me, what's the number one class to take? What would you take? Communication. And you should communicate your why.
Yeah. And that's why podcast as a platform is growing popularity.
Oh my God. I mean, how many did you do today? I mean, how many videos did we do? I mean, everybody's got their own TV station and it's great. And I suggest, we talked about communication. I think this is a great means. Number one, you get meet people like you, great people like you. We get to collaborate. We get to pull out and learn from each other and share with everybody else. And do you know how many books we would have to read in a day? We would never get to that information, and it's easy to learn from hearing. And believe me, I read 2-3 hours every day, just article after article after article at the end of the day to prepare for lectures and things like that. But I agree, podcasts are great. You can do it when you're on a treadmill. You can do it when you're on a train. Don't do it when you drive. I mean, if you have the headphones, maybe you can listen to it when you drive. There's a lot of good ones out there.
Yeah. And I definitely think, as we develop, like I asked you, like off camera, like, hey, media, social media, marketing, things like that, like where we are today in 2023, how did you develop into somebody that learned how to harness this stuff and, do a great job with it?
You're being nice. You said, as a guy who's, and that's okay, in his middle age, I am. How do you start to get techie? And not really what I want to do. It's not fun. I kind of like my Facebook lives, which, they say, no, you have to do all these other ones, now we got to use StreamYard. I did an Instagram live today. If my goal is to hit the masses and to express the message, you have to keep up with the tech, or at least hire somebody who understands that. And you know what? You and I could be talking to 1 million people right now. I mean, Joe Rogan, I think it's how many million people listen to his podcast?
I have no idea. A lot.
I think it was 4 times as many as the Dr. Oz show.
Yeah. So his shows are 3 hours long, by the way.
Right. And he actually prepares for them also. And it's
impressive, right?
Yeah. It's unbelievable. His metamorphosis. You have like an Andrew Huberman, who's 3 hours. He's on West Coast from Stanford. I mean, he's extrapolating information so that's there. We try and keep it at a half hour, so it's bite-sized, digestible points. I think that you have to get out there, and that's why I write books. So the reason that I know the reason I do this, and you've talked about your reasons also, is you start with the one-on-one, and that's in the office. You plant one seed and you hope you exponentially expand on that seed. Then you get up in front of people, and then you write books. And now you've got the practitioners, 50, 100, maybe 1,000 if it's a big place like a Parker. And then you talk and you send them out. Here, you get the opportunity to get everybody and anyone, and just to hear, hey, you know what? Maybe that vitamin D is good. You know what? Let me go to that chiropractor. They're real doctors and they're concerned about me. You know what? Intermittent fasting, check. You know what? I'm a doc, and you know what? James is right. Maybe I need to market a little bit. Maybe I should have a picture of me. Show a picture of you with your wife and your dog and your family. It's a good thing. It's okay.
Mm-hmm. Make a couple of videos of you adjusting kids and babies.
Sure. Let everybody know what you do, and let everybody know what you do well.
Because here's the thing, and I learned this from a guy named Barry Anderson. He was one of the founders of the Everest Coaching Group. And he said, if we don't tell them the truth about chiropractic, someone else will close them for drugs or surgery. And that's an anchor statement that I have with me every day. And I think about the truth of chiropractic and why it helps people is if we don't tell them the truth about chiropractic, every third commercial on mainstream media is about pharmaceuticals or shots, you know, and they are relentless with marketing and brand awareness and conversions and closing. And that's why chiropractors do have to tell their why, and they do have to continuously show up and be proud of what they do, and become highly successful too, so that then they can lobby and they can go and work politically. Because I think that that's another part that's really important to the profession too, is making sure that we don't get consumed by major medical. And I think that that's a concern right now too for me. So I'm looking to support more state associations, because I know that they keep the licensures alive for the chiropractors to practice. And that's important to me. I want to make sure that we perpetuate the profession of chiropractic until I'm far gone. And I want to make sure that chiropractors have the right to practice with their licensures to do what they do, and they don't get absorbed by big box medicine.
Yeah, I'm at most, that is my number one spot that I lecture in the state organizations. Is I'm going to Iowa this week. I'm going to South Dakota, Oklahoma next week. And it's just great. In comes a guy from New York City and into some of these smaller towns. And we just have a blast, because chiropractic and what we do is a unifying theme. There's no straight chiropractors. There's no mix of chiropractors. There's just chiropractors. And that's what we do. I think it's incumbent, to reiterate one more time, that our field really defines who and what we are, and don't let anybody else do it, because if they do, it's not going to be, unfortunately, favorable, because we've been the bastard child of healthcare for a while. That said, let's talk about some things that chiropractors do. Obviously, nobody adjusts better than a chiropractor. Central nervous system. There are 12 to 14 systems in the body. They're all interconnected. So many of these systems have been discussed: the immune system, the musculoskeletal system. Obviously, all of these are affected by what chiropractors can do. I'm a big gut person. I believe the gut is the epicenter of your health. 80% of your immune cells are in your gut. It's where your macro and micronutrients are absorbed. So whatever you do, make sure you take care of your gut health. By the way, there's an interlinking between your musculoskeletal health and your gut health. So food for thought, everybody. Gut to joint axis, gut to spine axis, gut to brain axis, gut to central nervous system axis. To be continued.
And, I think that that's really valuable. It's really valuable to hear somebody talk on that level, because I don't get a lot of that either. And I've been doing 1,200 shows. And I think that when people start to understand that the gut is one of the most important parts of our body, like the internal nervous system, spinal health then becomes really popular. And I think that we just need to keep on fostering that correlation between brain health, nervous system health, immune system health. And this for sure. Like 3 years ago, if a chiropractor stood up and said, "Hey, we help with your immune system," like strike one. "Hey, we help with your immune system," strike two. "Hey, we help with your immune system," strike three, blacklisted. Like, couldn't ever talk about healthcare again. And like, chiropractic does boost immunity. And it is one of those things that became taboo for chiropractors to have to kind of, "Hey man, we help with the nervous system and we actually help with immune systems too." Like, it became like this hush topic, where that's where I was ready to be like a volcano and just blow up. Cause I'm like, why are they silencing people that want to teach people how to have lifestyle? Why are they silencing people that are telling people if they get adjusted, they'll have better quality of thoughts, better quality of health, better immune system, better functionality? Now they're like telling a doctor that they can't tell people what they do. Like, where are we?
You know what? I don't have a good answer for that. So I'm going to avoid that landmine. You've got guts.
I do.
I'm compelled.
I do.
And I think that's great. I'm just going to say chiropractic and chiropractic lifestyle definitely can help the immune system. Here are some things. See a local chiropractor. Change how you eat. Here's a couple of acronyms of foods to avoid. GPS, no gluten, no processed food, no sugar, especially added sugar. Avoid that high fructose corn syrup. DNA, sorry, Midwesterners, no dairy, no nicotine, no artificial sweeteners. Avoid your vegetable oils. There are no vegetables in vegetable oils. They are seed oils. Avoid them. Repeat after me when I walk into a restaurant. I am allergic to vegetable oils. and everybody comes over and says, oh my God, what are we going to cook with? You will realize that every restaurant, or almost every restaurant, uses these inflammatory, deleterious seed oils. Avoid deep fried foods. Try to intermittent fast, 14 hours. Supplement when appropriate, vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, multivitamin, multimineral, probiotic, get a good fruits and greens drink. Try and exercise, whether it's 4 minutes, 9 minutes, 19 minutes, 60 minutes, 4 or 5 times a week. You know what? Meditate. Do something for your stress. Stress is an absolute bombshell to your gut and your nervous system. So do these lifestyle hacks. Try and avoid medication if and when you can. Some of the over-the-counter stuff that we should avoid, NSAIDs, non-steroid anti-inflammatories, Aleve, Advil, ibuprofen. They decrease pain, but they impair healing. Nutraceuticals decrease pain and promote healing. Which do you want, Mr. and Mrs. Patient? How about PPIs, proton pump inhibitors? They're supposed to be taken, if taken at all, for 4 to 6 weeks. People are taking them for months and years. They're taking them, they're giving you leaky gut. They're damaging your blood-brain barrier. They're damaging your central nervous system. On and on and on. Lifestyle is the way to go. You want lifestyle equals longevity. Longevity equals the switches of health span and lifespan. And again, one more time, at the crux of it is your immune system. Who better than the people watching James Chester's Chiro Hustle podcast to help with that?
Amen. And I think that that's a good way to close out today. I think talking about the power of chiropractic, the profession as it is, we're all more alike than we are different. And I gave a talk in Boulder a couple years ago called Unity Through Diversity. Chiropractors all do something a little different, but they all have the right method in mind, which is helping people. And I think that every chiropractor is an artist. So every chiropractor is going to deliver care the way that they practice their art form. And it's a healing art. It's the largest healing art in the world. And I think that when people understand that chiropractic is a healing art and chiropractors are artists, they would look at the profession a whole lot different. And they would receive care a whole lot different. And they would appreciate the artistry of each chiropractor, and every chiropractor would appreciate the artistry of their brother and sister. And they would accept them a lot better too if they looked at them with that light.
I love it. Here's mine. I'd love to close with: what you do for yourself dies with you. What you do for others lasts for immortality.
Amen. Well, Dr. Robert Silverman, thank you for being episode 511 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Is there anything, I know we're coming up on 37 minutes, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you wanted to share with our audience today before we
I'm just going to tell everybody, a shameless plug. Here's my new book, Immune Reboot. You can get it on Amazon. Reach out to me at Dr. Robert Silverman. The first 3 people who reach out will get a free copy because
Immune Reboot.
Immune Reboot.
I love it. Well, go on over to Amazon. Check out Dr. Silverman's new book. I have a copy actually sitting right over there, signed and delivered to me. So thank you for that. And just really appreciate you being a guest today and sharing your truth about chiropractic. And I just look forward to the next time I get a chance to be in the same room with you.
Same here. I look forward to seeing you soon.
All right. Well, have a great night out there in the Big Apple. And I'll sign off today from Grand Junction, Colorado. And I'll tell everyone, you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.